I saw this outrageously cute little origami Easter basket on Instagram on a 15-second video, which I will link to. And it took me a few hours to decipher it, so I'm going to show it to you. It needs, I'm starting with a 6-inch square, and the way that the woman shows it in the Instagram post is she folds it in half and then carefully folds up about a 1/4 inch and then about a 1/4 inch again. And the reason to do this is that you want this, like this flat strip in the middle. Okay, I had a terrible time trying to make this even all the way across, and it does make a difference. So what I've done is I've created this template to help me. And if you can do it without the template, great. But this, I'll also link to this. This is 6 inches, and these are, there's a line going through the diagonal middle, and then the other ones are a 1/4 inch apart. So what I've done is I've made this, and first thing I did was fold the piece of paper in half, open it back up, because I don't need the template for that. And then I use those folds I have. Let's move this more like this. Then I use the fold that I made to line it up just perfectly to the middle folds, and taped it down so it wouldn't move. And then I can make my score lines. And I wouldn't, this is the side of the paper that's not going to show. So I'm going to use a pen to do this so that you can see it. When you score, you kind of want a soft surface underneath. I don't need to do the middle line because there's already a fold there. Now on my template here, I also have these other long lines, and there's a fairly easy way to make those without having to make them in the first place, like I'm doing now, and I will show you that. But since I'm here anyway, it is helpful to make them, so I'm making them. Okay, what I want to do with these score lines is to make sort of like an accordion. So that little bit where it took off the color is probably going to show in the final product. So that middle line is going to be a valley, and I'm going to make, like I said, an accordion. So there's mountains on either side of it. There's one mountain. Here's the other mountain. And then, so these mountains come together with the valley in the middle. And then folding over the next part of the accordion. There we go. That's pretty good. If this was absolutely perfect, there'd be no little line showing there. So even doing it this way, I can't get it perfect. Okay, so now I'll flatten out this little strip. And here's another thing that if you've got a better eye than mine, you want to be able to find the middle of this strip, which is around here. And I will bring my points to the middle. And they get tucked underneath. There we go. Okay. And, okay, there we are. Now, the edges get brought to that middle fold. Okay, this top one is lining up perfectly. This one here is a little bit off. Like I said, when I do my template, it doesn't always come out perfect. Let's see if I can move that just a little bit to make it even. Yeah, actually, that seems to do it. Just a little bit of fussing. There we go. So it looks like you've got a tilted square here and down at the bottom, right? Okay. So now, remember I said we made those folds at the beginning you don't really need? Here they are. And if you didn't make those on the template, the way you figure out where they go is fold over this piece, and do you see how this pink line extends to the yellow line just perfectly? That's where it goes. That's the spot it ends up in. So do that, and then do that again. Really make that into a nice fold. And that folds right on that line that I made before. So you know that, you see how that yellow line goes into the pink line. Okay, and everything's looking good here. Seeing that there's a nice little square at the top here, a nice little square at the top here, tells me that my folds are, this is going to be a successful one. Okay, so now I need to make a triangle. I need to fold in a triangle. This is a point of the triangle, and this is a point of the triangle, and this is a point of the triangle. So, no, not there. It'll go over to here. There it is. So there's my triangle. I'm bringing this point right to the fold line and ending right on the line that I just recently made. Okay. Same over here. Now, when I was first making these, I was thinking, oh, these have got to be glued down. There's no way they stay. And I was gluing them down. And you can glue them down too. But I realized after a while they really don't need to be glued down. So I'm not going to. But you may if you want to. Again, bringing that to the center. Center line. Folding over this little triangle. Bring it down again. Let's see how we're looking. That looks pretty good. There we go. That looks good. You see, I'm just a little bit off here. Well, maybe not. Okay, so there we go. That's what it looks like. Almost done. Okay, now this opens up, and in the video she just opens it up, and it's a nice little basket. It doesn't work so well for me. What I need to do is there's a line here, a fold line from that triangle there. I'm going to fold right onto it, and if you'll notice, I'm trying to make the point of this pink point touch the look like touch this outside fold. They sort of line up, and I'll make a nice little fold there, and I'll do that in all four places. Make a nice little fold. See this fold, if you make this fold nicely, it keeps down this part that I said you could glue. Okay, and it's this last part. So make it fold. Okay, now maybe it should go into the nice little basket. But you really actually have to do one more thing. I find that I just sort of take this and begin to sort of stretch it a little bit with my fingers. And that makes it sort of curl around. You know, the way that you sometimes will stretch ribbon to make it curl. You just want to just work it a little to make it curl. So now it's sort of curly. And I might have to work that a little bit more. Everything's in place. And now I'll take my little top pieces. You see how you've got these little triangles? We'll slip one into the other. Sometimes one is just a little bit bigger than the other, so you go back and forth. And I merge them so they become, instead of 4 little triangles, 4 little yellow triangles, just becomes 2 little yellow triangles. Now this should stay together, and I will continue to work it a little bit to make everything stay in place. And now you see why you probably don't want to use pen when you're making your marks, because they show inside. So use something that doesn't make a mark. But here is your little, or just put an egg in it. There we go. Put an egg in it, and you won't see that. So here's your little, oops, see, this one came apart, so you might want to glue these. There we go. And we're all done. Happy Easter!